Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into some pretty fascinating and, let's be honest, provocative ideas on modern seduction from Alina Chamberlain's A Woman's Guide to Masculine Blueprint. We're going to explore a bunch of techniques all about creating allure and influence from a distance.
Right off the bat, the author hits us with this powerful idea that real influence isn't about being physically there all the time. Nope. It's about mastering his thoughts when you're not even in the room. The goal here is to become the main character in his daydreams.
So how on earth do you do that? While the author makes it super clear, this isn't about spells or magic wands. It's actually a pretty sophisticated use of psychological triggers, all designed to keep his mind locked right on you.
Okay, so the secret sauce behind this whole strategy is a psychological principle sometimes called the Zeigarnik effect or the unfinished action. You see, our brains absolutely hate leaving things hanging. We have this deep need for closure, and that little quirk, that's the engine that drives almost everything we're about to cover.
All right, let's get into the first tool in this toolkit, digital intimacy. The idea here is that this isn't just for fun. It's actually a really strategic way to get a read on a guy and see what makes him tick.
And what's really interesting is how this works in two totally different scenarios. If you're in a long-term relationship, it's a way to spice things up. Bring back that thrill of the game so things don't get stale. But for new connections, it's a powerful way to vet him, to get a sneak peek into his fantasies before you're even in the same room.
The author gives this very specific line as an example. And think about what it does. You're not just telling him you're excited. You're making him and his voice the essential key to your pleasure. You're basically creating a powerful anchor, tying the sound of his voice directly to your peak experience.
Now, building on that, we get to what is probably the most controversial technique in the whole book. It's designed to create what the author calls a short circuit in his brain, and it taps directly into that unfinished action principle we just talked about. So here's the protocol, laid out in 4 steps. First, make sure he's present and has a few minutes. Then, you escalate the energy, get things to their absolute peak, and then bam, the cut. You disconnect. And that silence that follows, it's just as crucial as everything that came before it.
So what's happening during those 2 or 3 hours of dead air? Well, his mind can't just drop it. It's forced to replay and finish the mental movie that you started. It loops over and over. And according to the book, that's how anticipation turns into a full-blown obsession. Okay, this is where it gets really tactical. The author explains how to use these ideas to filter potential partners with something called the mass mailing strategy. So if you're unattached and you want to see who's really worth your time, this one's for you. You start by sending out a hook message, something like this, to a few different people. Now notice this isn't just an invitation. It's a direct challenge to his imagination and, yeah, his ego. It's designed to make him stop and think, wait, could I be the one?
Or how about this one? It directly pokes at his confidence with that one little word, intimidated. It's practically begging for a response, daring him to prove he's not. The key to both of these messages is that they force him to engage, to think, not just give a simple yes or no.
So after you send the hook, you wait. The mandatory waiting period is 3 to 5 hours. This is non-negotiable. It lets the curiosity build. Then you have 2 paths. For anyone you're not really into, you use a simple, clean exit like, my phone was hacked. But for the ones you are intrigued by, you deepen the loop with another question, keeping him hooked in what the author calls digital foreplay.
All right, let's move out of the digital world and into the physical. This next technique is all about leaving a powerful sensory anchor in his personal space. Think his car, his apartment. It's about making sure a piece of you is always there, even when you're not. The author outlines 3 main types of these souvenirs, and each one targets a different sense. You've got scent, like your signature perfume on a piece of clothing. Taste, a specific flavor he only associates with you. And touch, or a material object, something he might stumble upon later. They all act as these powerful, subconscious reminders of you. Now we've gone through all these techniques, right? From the digital mind games to the physical anchors. But they all come with one final and absolutely crucial rule. The author is very firm on this. None of this stuff works if you're just on autopilot. There's a foundational state you have to be in. So what's the secret? What is the one thing that actually powers all of this? Because it's not about just reading a script or going through a checklist. There's something deeper at play. And here it is. It's not about playing a game. It's about embodying an energy. The author stresses that to truly captivate him, you have to be filled with your own sense of excitement and sexuality first. You have to feel that thrill in your own body before you can transmit it to anyone else.
And that really brings us to the final, most important takeaway. The ultimate source of this power isn't any of the external tricks or techniques. It's your own genuine excitement. It totally reframes seduction, not as something you do to another person, but as an energy you cultivate within yourself. And that is a pretty provocative idea to think about.
You can find the electronic version of book She Who Awakens by Alina Chamberlain at wishforlove.org.